Hello. I was going to shave for this, but I wanted to be just a little bit campy. Um, it's better to get taught magic by a queen than some boring cis person. Um, yeah, I'm happy with the heart, but I do have a bit of trauma with putting shapes on my face because I had a very eccentric I mean, honestly, for me it was kind of more normal because I'm just weird, but I had a period of my life when I was 19 where I would just like go to town, like just drawing diamonds on my face. And I went to school one day with like just a whole bunch of diamonds like all over my face, and my classmate was like, "Are you good? Are you having a day?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm good. Like, this is me in my final form. But like they didn't understand, so like I never wore diamonds on my face again. So this is a bit of a step for me to drawing stuff on my face, but my inner 4-year-old is very happy right now, and also my inner soul is happy. But yeah, I just I'm on a bit of a roll, and I want to take a second to talk about my favorite thing ever, which is magic. So I don't even know where to start. I mean, right now, I just got some thread off the wall. I want to talk about the word, okay? The power of the word. I think that's a really good place to start. There are so many ways that we create our reality and that we consciously choose to embody and to sort of maneuver our worlds. And there's a lot of different ways this can go and this can be, okay? And a lot of people, you know, how do I phrase this? This existence itself is something that you can do whatever you want with, that you can create into art. This existence, this life, there are things that make up this existence. And when you are able to understand or get a grip on part of the thread of reality, you can sort of shift reality. And a lot of magicians have a grip on it somewhat. You don't have to understand all of it, or even just a piece of it. All you need is just to understand one little smidgen of how reality works to make your effect on it, okay? Now I don't know why I want to say this, but we're not talking about Christian shit here. We're only talking about the power of the word. And as the Bible says, what does it say? I don't know, I haven't read it. First there's the word, then there's God, right? So keep that in mind because it's true. Language is a medium of reality. We can determine and we can perceive our reality through our language. The word is how we define our reality. Language is one thing that helps us understand what things are. Words are the ways that we map out what we perceive. So the way that you talk about something, and we all know this, especially, in this generation, in this year, in 2026, there's a lot of like culture out there about manifestation and affirmations and stuff. And like, yes, I am talking about that, but I'm saying it like it's way deeper than you think. Like, don't just, tell yourself affirmations in the morning without really feeling it. I'm not just talking about when you are choosing to speak upon yourself what you want. I'm talking about every single thing you say, every conversation you have with people, the way that you tell people about your life, the story that you tell people about what you're living, what you're going through. Every single word that you say has a direct effect on your reality. So be very aware of how you speak to people. And, when you're like on the date and they're like, so what's your relationship like with your exes or whatever? I don't know if that's a question people ask on dates, but, needless to say, the way that you tell your story about your exes changes consciousness. And I'm not just saying that I feel like people might have like a relational perspective with what I'm saying. Obviously, you don't want to tell that person on the date the wrong thing about your ex. You don't want to make it seem like you're not over them. You don't want to make it seem like this. Obviously, if you say the right thing, you'll get the right response. No, that's not what I'm saying. First of all, that's manipulative. And second of all, what I'm trying to say is that our perceptions change with the way that we tell our story. And this is done consciously and unconsciously. Think of it this way. I guess I could talk about myself for an example. I have a very traumatic childhood. My childhood was extremely traumatic. And my parents gave me the greatest gift, because even though my childhood was hard, they have given me unconditional love, and that has given me the ability to be my full self. I had no idea that other people's parents haven't given them unconditional love, because I am so free. My parents set me free. Do you see how I told you something really hard? I mean, I obviously didn't tell you the full brunt of it, but I told you that I had a traumatic childhood. If I was still stuck in the trauma of my traumatic childhood, I would have told you the story of why my childhood is traumatic and all the horrible things that happened to me. And all of those things are still true. But as I have healed myself, and as I have forgiven what has happened to me and forgiven myself, I have found the treasure of my childhood. And because I am continuously seeking to know deeper and deeper truth about myself, I intend to continue to tell the truth as it unfolds in my life. And so I prefer to waste less time just by getting to the root of things in what I say. And that is how you use the power of the word to shape your reality. I just transmuted the story of having a traumatic childhood into the story of having an amazing, unconditionally loving childhood. The paradox of reality is that both can be true at the same time, at least for me. I don't know about for you, but for me, I live in a world of paradox, unfortunately, at some times in my life. Now, I'm learning how to make peace with the paradox, and the paradox does follow magicians throughout time and space, unfortunately, but we dance with it. We dance with it here. What I'm trying to say here is the way that you talk about your life, it directly affects your life. And you can cause yourself to go into more illusion. And when I say illusion, I mean you can create more drama, more chaos, more dysfunction in your life through the way that you talk about yourself, through the way that you talk about people. And it really boils down to telling the truth. All you really need to do to learn how to wield your reality with language is to always tell the truth. And this could just be me being autistic. I really value the truth, to a fault. I don't think I've ever lied in my entire life. I just can't. I can't lie. I find it to be so immoral. I could never do it. But some people can. Now, when it comes to magic, yes, you have to keep secrets. There is a big difference, in my opinion, between lying and keeping a secret. There's certain ways to tell the truth. there's certain ways to translate the truth that are helpful and that are not helpful. You know, like maybe this is just a me thing. I'm a highly psychic person. I will meet someone in my life and I'll notice something that they need to change or heal about themselves. And I choose not to just flat out tell them that because it's not polite, you know? There's gentle ways to tell people the things that they need to hear. Now, when it comes to you and your life, just, it's so simple, but it's so profound. You got to think before you speak. Just continuing to have that process of, is that my cat? Baby? Okay. I don't know. Just having that process of continual introspection, because inside of you is your heart and is your soul and is a part of you that just knows what's going on. And I'm going to quote my uncle in this video because he said something to me once that I thought was really profound. We were talking on the phone and he said this thing, and I wish I had it like verbatim, but he was like, in your life, at the end of the day, is you and God, and only you and God know if you are doing the right thing, basically. And that really struck me because in that moment I could feel in my bones his relationship to his higher power. And so I remembered that feeling, and I want you to remember that feeling too, that deep inside of you is an awareness, of how you know that things are right or wrong, and you know deep down inside of you your relationship to the divine. And in that place is where you find your truth. And it could be hurtful and it could be confusing and it could be painful at times, because in that alignment, you'll see the ways that you have lied to yourself, and you'll see the ways that you have been kind of full of shit. And when you face yourself like that, and when you continue to do that introspective work, is when you are able to kind of look beyond the veil. And when I say veil, I mean beyond the stories you tell, okay? Because inside of us, we're not just one thing, we're many things. And there are many different ways, and I'll get back to what I was saying before as well, don't worry. There are many different ways to like perceive, and a lot of people only perceive, or a lot of people mostly perceive through their mind, but there's actually other modes of perception within the human body, like the gut and the heart and the third eye. There's other ways to receive and to understand information. And as you continue to introspect and know yourself more and be on that spiritual journey of really seeing yourself and really understanding who you are beyond the first things that you think, you will see that you know, there's different layers of truth, and there's like the story of the drama that happened, and then maybe there's the story of why the drama happened, and underneath that could be like the trauma of the person. It's like, oh my God, you know, like my girlfriend cheated on me, blah, 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 blah. That's the story of the drama that happened. Okay, well, underneath that, it's like, oh, well, she's insecure and she was not facing herself. And so she ran away from me because she was scared of who she is or something. Or maybe she has an addiction and, you know, was abandoning me through that addiction or something. And then underneath that is like, oh, well, I attracted her into my life because I had low self-worth. And, oh, okay, I actually need to respect myself more. And, oh, okay, I forgive myself for putting myself through that. You see what I'm saying, of how there's like different layers of the story. And as you go down those layers into the core of who you are, you're going to understand why you even had that experience in the first place. And you're going to feel a peace inside of you of that. And from that perception of that peace, that's where you can start to almost like walk backwards and kind of see like how you could tell that story in a way that blesses your life. Does that make sense? And so when you're on that date with someone and they're like, what happened with your ex? Instead of saying, oh my God, she cheated on me, I'm so betrayed, all women cheat on me, it's just so horrible, you could say, oh, I had low self-worth and I attracted someone in my life who disrespected me, and I now have learned how to respect myself, and I'm so grateful for that lesson. Do you see how that blesses your life instead of being like, oh my God, my ex cheated on me, so blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? And so that's how you use the power of the word consciously in your day-to-day life, okay? When it comes to ritualistically, this is when you get to do some fun work. At least for me, it's fun work. You go about your life, doing your things, and you remain in that understanding, that clarity of understanding who you are and your integrity. And you just kind of watch yourself and you watch your interactions. You're kind of just like meditating during the day. You're just noticing how you talk to people. You're noticing what you say. You're noticing how you respond. And then when you're alone in your house or when you have time to think, you think, okay, like what can I tweak to sort of give my reality like an upgrade? And that's when you can call in, and that's when you can intentionally cast spells and say things like, I intend to be abundant, and you can say affirmations. You can say whatever you want. It just needs to be in your integrity. It needs to make sense to you. And most of all, it needs to hit that feeling inside of you that is like, I know what's true. Okay? Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions, if you want me to go over specifics on like things like how to write spells, how to cast spells, what spells are. I mean, we are constantly spelling. We are constantly intending and determining what our reality is based on how we talk. Be very careful, be very aware and mindful about how you talk to people, what you say to people, because you get to choose. You get to choose what you show them and what you say. Now, being deceitful is a choice. There are definitely people who are very good at being manipulative and deceitful with the word. The word is a very tricky medicine. There's a lot of ways to manipulate. That's a whole mind fuck. And there's so much more power in just speaking the truth, because one little ounce of truth, it shuts down everything. Especially in this time of consciousness where like everyone's being manipulative, like all the people in power being manipulative. To each their own, but like I personally like don't stoop to their level. Just like tell the truth. That's the best way to create a good aligned life too, because word creates life. So if you're telling the truth and continuing to tell more of the truth as more of the truth unfolds in your life, you will actually create a life of truth. And when you have a life of truth, you are a pillar of light in the world, and your life blesses so many lives around you. And that is what matters. I mean, we're all really here to be who we are, right? And it's just such a trap to tell yourself you're happy when you're not, and tell yourself you're in love when you're not, or tell yourself you're in pain when you're not. Tell yourself you have no choice when you do. Like, let's not lie to ourselves here. And when you lie to yourself, you catch yourself and you step back and you think, okay, well, if this isn't true, then what is? Magic isn't just about like getting a candle and saying some shit, or having a little pentagram, or going to the herb store. I mean, it is totally, but it's not just about that. It is an entire allegiance to life and to understanding that you are a conscious creator, and that you are capable of being in communion with God and all that exists to unfold your life more. It is such an incredible gift to be able to surf the waves of consciousness and to wield matter and life and form, and to to dance with the whole of everything. It's so beautiful and it's such a gift. So I know this was kind of a lot. I just go all over the place. This is such a, I mean, studying and just engaging with the occult is just something that is a lifelong journey, a lives long journey. So I could talk about this for hours, and I probably will if I don't get off soon. Oh my god, it's already been 20 minutes. But yeah, I think that's probably good for now. And thank you for being here. And once again, just let me know in the comment section if you have any questions.